Okay, it's midsummer, and this is some of the most beautiful kale that I've seen that's made it through a heat wave. It's not bolted, it's succulent, it's really gorgeous. Today I'm in Arrington with Chelsea Young of Young Harvest Farm, and Chelsea, along with her beautiful family, has a homestead here and some beautiful gardens that we're going to tour today. Chelsea, welcome to the show. Tell us, how do you get your kale to look so beautiful in this heat wave?
Well, I will say there's always a little bit of luck in anything that is gardening, Mother Nature for sure. But we've been able to plant throughout the spring different crops alongside the kale and harvest it quite a bit. So you can see it's pretty far off the ground, so away from pests, away from water getting splashed up on it. I think that's been helpful as well. And then we've got all of these nice summer crops that are kind of entangling themselves around it. Another kind of shade for that kale, if you will.
Yeah, I love this interplanting technique that I see throughout your garden. Let's go take a look at some more examples.
All right, let's go.
Chelsea, I passed by a lot of gardens on my drive through the country today, and I saw a lot of gardens that were traditionally organized in neat rows and everything in its place. Now in your garden, I'm looking at just in a few square feet, I see lemon balm, there's some shishito, I see some basil, something coming up really small over there, some sort of brassica, and tomatoes in the background. Tell us more about the technique you're employing here.
I'm a messy gardener, but there is some rhyme to the reason. There's always, like this perennial here is nice and smelly and fragrant along with the basil. So that's always to help some type of pest be deterred from my tomatoes, my biggest crop this year. And then whenever I see anything, so we just pulled some things over in the corner there, whenever I see bare soil, I love to cover it with micros of some sort. I've got buckwheat even, I think, popping up somewhere. Giving back to the soil and keeping the soil moist, especially in this high heat, is really important. Not only for the tomatoes, but for then again, when the brassicas come in this fall.
Yeah. So when you talk about micros, you're referring to microgreens.
Microgreens,
Are you actually, so these are going to be, you're seeding heavily over the soil to keep the soil covered.
Yep. And
then you're growing these, I assume they're cabbages and broccolis and other sorts of brassicas.
Yeah, things that we can take in and eat as well. And I love arugula for that purpose.
Good. So you are harvesting the microgreens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then are you leaving those roots in the soil?
Yes, we let them all, we never pull from the soil. We always just cut at the soil level, and then we let those roots give back to the soil.
Yeah.
Never disrupting.
I love this mix of plants that you have here. Like you said, you've got the perennials, you've got the vining crops. I see some other spots over in your garden where it looks like you've done some recent plantings. Let's take a look at that.
Okay, yeah.
So here's another great example where I see pollinators and peppers, and I see some lettuce. Tell us more about what the design is here.
Yeah, it's well, there's a lot. The heat is not so great for the lettuce, but I still love lettuce in the summer. So I try to put them almost as a ground cover, and then build it up with lots of pretty flowers. You can see the peppers in here, even some bushy zucchini down here. And this is a parsley that's going to seed as well. So that I can enjoy lettuce, but then we let it bolt in some instances, and then we're able to just shake those seeds, and then the lettuce will replant itself. So always having the ground covered as much as we can with a lot of different other plant partners. You can even see it's tricky down here, but we've got some carrots. Carrots don't love the heat as well, so this helps them prevent from bolting. And actually get some really nice long carrots that way if the soil stays moist and it's underneath a lot of different friends like lettuce, or we've got some peppers back here, some really hot peppers back there I see that are just about to get ready to get picked. So yeah, so this is parsley, so I would simply grab the seed heads once they get all dried up, sprinkle them in, ruffle them in, and a couple months we'll have fresh parsley. So
earlier you referred to your garden as a bit of a mess. I think it's the exact opposite of that. I think there's a lot of techniques that you're employing here that are pretty advanced and are not just intuitive things that you've learned. I assume you've learned that over the course of many years of gardening, right?
Not really. We just started kind of a pandemic garden in 2020, and I jumped in wanting to grow food with my family, and it was something that we just enjoyed so much. And yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, and I think that's, as gardeners, that's what we do. That's how we learn. And There's great books out there, and the internet is out there as well, which is helpful to identify things, and also to give different ideas on how do you grow peppers and tomatoes and how do you trellis different ways. But you will know your soil best, and you will know your environment best. So I think just experimenting a lot of the things that I do is an experiment, but keeping the ground covered, having lots of variety, and that has helped a lot in deterring pests and keeping our garden growing throughout even the hottest months in July and August.
Well, it's very impressive, and I love the fact that you're actually experimenting and you're not afraid to fail. I think sometimes when I do see those nice, neat, organized gardens, I wish people would try some other things and let it be okay to fail and not give up and not be frustrated. And have some happy accidents that you learn from.
Yeah, lots of accidents. But it turns out that the more you try different things, the better you get, and the more varieties that you enjoy. And sometimes you can, the biggest mistakes are your biggest rewards.
Yeah,
so.
For sure.
Yeah.
I see some beautiful trellising you've done over here. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
So you've taken interplanting to the next level, even with your trellises. So we're looking at some squash or some cucurbits here.
Yeah, pumpkin.
Pumpkin, okay.
Yeah.
And we've got tomatoes and other vining crops. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, so this is an easy and very affordable, actually, cattle panel from any supply store, and then just some T-posts that we bent up. And it allows us to grow up and then also keep the soil moist underneath with a lot of more squash varieties, depending on what does well that comes up and what does well on the ground. So this San Marzano, I thought was dead. But once we've gotten a little bit of shade from the pumpkin and the loofah, which is my first time growing the loofah, she has come back alive. So I will bob and weave her, and we'll probably get a second or third round of San Marzanos.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so sometimes, it works out where they just needed a little bit more shade, or the soil just needed a little bit of help. And then plants can get revived pretty quick.
Well, that's part of that experimenting until you find what works and having some happy accidents that happen like that, right?
Yeah.
So we're in midsummer now. By the time we get to the end of summer and early fall, we're going to see a full cattle panel here, trellis, full of loofah and tomato, and you're going to pick these.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
I can't wait. We got our first little guy right up here.
I see it. I love these cattle panels. I use these on my farm a lot. They're really inexpensive. They're fairly easy to shape. It's a two-man job.
Yeah, it's a two-man job,
if you can get them shaped using some T-posts, and this is something that anyone can pick up at their farm supply store.
Yeah.
And put it in a home garden in the ground, in a raised bed.
Yeah, we use them for multiple things. You saw in the hoop house, we use them to trellis cucumbers as well, something that doesn't need to go as high, but it's a great way to get things off the ground and grow vertical.
Looks great.
Thanks.
Chelsea, we've seen your interplanting technique in a high tunnel. We've also seen it growing in the ground outdoors. Yep. I see you've done something similar in your raised beds. Tell us about it.
Yes, this is kind of we just put these raised beds in this year, but I love the idea that you can kind of plant them sequentially all the way up to a trellis that I've got in the middle. I do quick roots like a radish, and then carrots, which will actually benefit from some of the shades from the climbers. And then I even put some of the nitrogen givers like beans. Pole beans would work here great too. They would climb. And then I do all my cucumbers. I've got baby butternuts down here, and they will climb. And so it's kind of nice. You have succession planting where you'll be able to grab radishes, then replant, and then grab your beans and then your carrots. And so you have this wide variety that you can grab from for a couple months in one bed.
This must be like a treasure box for your kids when they come outside, right?
Yeah, it is. It's who can come down and grab the beans and the cucumbers first.
Yeah, it's great. Your high tunnel is a little bit of magic in the middle of summer. All of this growing around us is so beautiful. Chelsea, you have shown us a lot of techniques today with interplanting and with crop rotation and just other things that I think any home gardener will find that they can employ, whether they have a really small raised bed garden or a big garden. So thank you for sharing this with us today.
I'm so honored to be a part of this. I love this.
Now, I know gardening is not the only thing that you're doing here. Can you tell us a little bit more about Young Harvest Farm?
Yeah, so we have opened our doors to the community so that others can learn with us. So we started this garden, and I thought, gosh, everybody should learn. And if they can't learn because they can't do it in their own space, come out to the farm and join us. So we have so many different family events. We started growing flowers 2 years ago, and we just love that the community can come out and do a U-pick on the weekends. So we've got U-pick flowers, and using all of these amazing vegetables in seasonal recipes. So we have cooking classes, sourdough, and I even get to teach yoga in the barn loft. So we welcome everybody, and then we do 2 big farm-to-table dinners both in the spring and the summer, or in the fall, not in the summer. Good Lord.
Thank you.
that would be too much. But yeah, we welcome everybody on farm so that they can learn with us. It's a community-based farm, so we want everybody to come and learn with us as much as they can.
It's beautiful, it's inspiring, and it's just been a pleasure visiting you today. Thank you, Chelsea.
We're so thankful to have you out. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.